I've been using the Ecobee Smart Thermostat Premium for some time now, and it's a pretty great choice. It's a top-of-the-line model, it's reliable, pretty easy to use, very highly rated, and I don't really need to upgrade it, but if you follow my channel, you may realize that I've been moving all of my smart home products off of Wi-Fi and to local control. So when Aqara offered to send me the new W200 Thermostat Hub, I was like, yeah, let me pit it against the Ecobee and see how they compare. And what's exciting for me is that the W200 has matter over thread, so it can be fully local. And spoiler alert, these are both excellent products. And I think it's really just gonna come down to personal preference and how you want your smart home network to run. Let's start with what comes in the box, what doesn't, and how much it all costs. Now, as you can see on the box, the Ecobee Premium also comes with a sensor, so it can read the temperature both from the thermostat and from the sensor that you place in another room. It also comes with a PEK, or Power Extender Kit, and this is important if you have an HVAC system like I do that doesn't have a C-wire. Without that, I wouldn't have been able to install it. And it comes with all three things in the box. That said, the Aqara, it's all a la carte. It just comes with the thermostat. The C-wire adapter, which is the same thing as the PEK, is separate. Same thing if you want to buy a sensor for another room, it's separate. That said, at the time of this video, the W200 is only $159.99. The C-wire adapter, which you may not need, is $29.99. And their sensor, which is a 5-in-1 sensor rather than a 2-in-1, is $49.99. At the time of this video, if you add all of this up, it's about $239 as opposed to $259. Now these prices are at the time of this video and there's sales and discounts and price drops, but right now all three of these are a little less than this one, and you may not even need the C-wire adapter. You may not need the sensor. Maybe you're in a studio apartment. I should add that Ecobee also has two lesser expensive models. The reason I'm comparing the Aqara to the Ecobee Premium, well, one, that's what I'm coming from, and number two, the Aqara has almost all of the features of the Premium model. If you look at the actual thermostats themselves, the screen sizes are very similar. However, the Ecobee overall is larger and heavier, and this has been out for quite some time. The Aqara is brand new. They also come with all the mounting hardware, including these back plates, and the Ecobee one is pretty enormous. I mean, look at that size difference. They come with everything you'll need to mount and install it, and both even have a built-in level. Real quick, if you appreciate my straightforward, no BS reviews about smartphone and smart home tech, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel. Thanks so much, and let's continue. Now, as far as installing, they're pretty much going to be the same level of difficulty, and I've installed a number of thermostats, Aqara, Ecobee, Nest, and they're all fairly easy, but it also depends on what system you have. If you have an HVAC setup like I do without a C-wire and you need the PEK or the C-wire adapter, it tends to be a little more complicated just because there's a little more wiring involved, but it's virtually the same with both of these. When both of these are installed on your wall, they actually look fairly similar from a distance. Now with the Ecobee, you could control pretty much everything directly from the thermostat on the wall. With the Aqara, you could only control basic functions from the screen. Everything else is in the app. So it's nice that Ecobee gives you the flexibility to do either or. However, I personally always use the app. I almost never touch these things on the wall. However, there is an advantage to the Ecobee in that it displays the air quality. Shortly after installing these, we kept getting poor air quality alerts, and I think it was kind of useful. We even went so far as to replace our gas cooktop with an induction one. The Aqara doesn't have that. It also has Alexa built in, and you could connect Siri to it as long as you have an Apple hub, and it has a basic sensor for room occupancy. The Aqara takes a different approach, acting as a 4-in-1 hub, so a fully featured thermostat, an mmWave presence sensor. It can function as a standalone Zigbee 3.0 hub, a local matter controller, and a thread border router. So for smart home enthusiasts that love local control, this has it all. You could also link other smart home devices to this, like if you have an Aqara video doorbell, you can actually see who's ringing the doorbell on the thermostat. And if you have an Aqara door lock, you could actually unlock the door from the thermostat as well. Pretty cool. For me, one of the biggest differences is the sensors. The Ecobee just has the temperature and a binary motion sensor. If you want to incorporate it into your smart home like I use Home Assistant, you can do that. It's just very basic. The FP300 sensor is different though. This sensor can be used with the thermostat, but it is also a standalone product, and it's a 5-in-1 sensor. So as for the presence sensor, it uses mmWave, where it can continuously track presence, temperature, humidity, light, and motion. And you can use all of this in your smart home platform like Home Assistant for things unrelated to the thermostat. Like if you walk into a room, it can turn the lights on. Of course, we should probably talk about how these work day to day to heat and cool your space. So obviously you could just change the temperature manually on both of these devices, on the device itself, on the app, through your smart home, but I feel most people getting smart thermostats are probably using scheduling. And both are similar in that you can set different profiles, like home, or away, or sleep, or create your own custom one. And then when you go into scheduling, you basically tell it when you want to activate these different profiles. And they're very similar on both of them. Both of them allow you to choose different profiles, so you can set the home profile to use the actual sensors on the thermostats to determine the ideal temperature. And you can say, when using the sleep profile, you'll use the sensors in the bedroom. Because, nobody's downstairs, so who cares about those sensors? Initially, I thought that only the Ecobee had the ability to take the temperature from the thermostat and all of the sensors and average them together, so it can provide the most even temperature management throughout your space. But I actually ended up finding that setting in the Aqara app kind of hidden there, and I'm actually recording this after the fact to be as accurate as possible. And that really does help even the playing field. The W200 is also one of the very first to take advantage of a brand new feature from Apple, and that is Apple Adaptive Temperature and Clean Energy Guidance. Rolls right off the tongue. So instead of doing all of the scheduling, it tracks your family's iPhone and Apple Watch locations, so it can automatically adjust temperatures based on home, away, and sleep automatically. Then the Clean Energy feature actually tracks your local power grid, and it can shift your climate control times to when energy is cleaner or cheaper. However, to use it, everybody in the house is going to have iPhones and Apple Watches, all on the latest software. And you'll need an Apple hub, like a Apple HomePod or an Apple TV. So it's pretty cool that Aqara is one of the first to do this, as they are with a lot of the new technologies. That said, if you are into Apple, both of them are HomeKit compatible. But at this point, only the Aqara has that new feature. But yeah, I've used Nest, Ecobee, and Aqara at this point, and I personally like to design my schedule myself along with my wife. If the seasons change or our schedules change, we'll adjust it accordingly. Then there's the apps. It's interesting because I really don't like navigating the Ecobee app. There's just something confusing about the menu structure and the language, and I always have to go back and forth with schedules and comfort settings, and I don't know, there's always something that's not intuitive about the whole thing, and it kind of frustrates me. And another thing is that when I switched from iPhone to Android, well, just like many apps, the iOS version is so much better. Now, of course, it's the same app, but on the iPhone, I would set the temperature and it would change it. On the Android version, I set the temperature and there's this little loading bar, and it takes a while. And if I exit out of the screen, it doesn't save my changes. So I have to literally change the temperature and sit there waiting for it to actually work. And having two thermostats in the house, it's kind of annoying. Other than those concerns though, the app is fine, it has plenty of features, it's not difficult to use, but I wouldn't mind if they updated it, especially the Android version. The Aqara app, on the other hand, handles all of their smart home devices, and I do prefer it over the Ecobee app. It also works excellent on both Android and iPhone. It's more intuitive, like smart schedules and schedule management, and I really like the manual override mode where you can say, right now I want the temperature to be this, and for how long? Like forever, or until the next preset, or for 8 hours from now. And instead of just showing the sensor, it literally shows 4 different sensors: temperature, presence, humidity, and light. But that said, both apps are pretty good, and I think that both have more features in there than you're really gonna use. So after living with both of these side by side, this is easily the closest comparison I've ever done on this channel. The Ecobee Premium is a great choice if you want a premium all-in-one device out of the box. The sensor, it has voice control, the air quality monitor, which I love, very well made, extremely reliable, but the Android app could use an update. But for my setup, I'm sticking with the Aqara. Yeah, losing the air quality monitor is unfortunate, but since they're so similar, I really prefer the local first matter over thread. And of course the integrated Zigbee hub, the vastly superior multi-sensor, feeding all that data into Home Assistant. It really just blends better with my personal setup, and the app is great on both iOS and Android. I'd love to hear what you have to say, so let me know in the comments. I've included product links in the description, and as always, thank you so much for watching.